You are a Locked On Braves postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, your team every day.
Well, it turned into a forgettable night at Truist Park for the Atlanta Braves as the last-place Red Sox rolled into town, and you wouldn't know by the second inning that they dropped on Atlanta that Boston has, in fact, been a struggling offense as they scored 6 times en route to a 9-4 victory over the Braves in the first of a very quick 2-game series at Truist Park. I'm Grant McAuley. He's Jake Mastroianni. This is the Braves Postcast, part of the all-new Locked On Sports Atlanta. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button here on YouTube. Click the bell, get those notifications each and every time we drop a new episode here on the channel. Be sure to check out a lot of the other great shows and great content we got coming for you there. And also be sure to subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast. You'll get not only this Braves Postcast, but also all the great content and episodes Jake has for you all season long. But Jake, let's get into this one. I don't know if this is going to be our finest content of the year. It certainly wasn't for the Atlanta Braves and for Kyle Wright, who had so many starts where it felt like he was just having things go his way. He was working through the problems, the issues, and some of the challenges that he ran into. He just couldn't find his way out of the second inning against Boston tonight.
Yeah, and it was really, just that second inning and struggling with command and the walks, which I'm sure we'll get into. Not his finest outing of the year, but glad to see him go back out there and continue to work and learn how to navigate through that and give the Braves some innings.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and that's something we'll talk a lot about. The walks were something that did hurt the Braves in this game. Boston got its fair share of hits as well. The Braves squandered a couple of opportunities early to maybe grab the first run or two of the game. This stuff just didn't quite go right, but things seemed to spiral for Kyle in that second inning, and Rafael Devers' grand slam really put the Red Sox in the driver's seat for the majority of the night. We're going to get into all of the things that went wrong in this game. We're going to show you some of the things that maybe went well for the Braves. There were a couple of those. And, of course, we'll get you set for Game 2 as the Braves will try to earn a split, forget about today's game, and split with this Boston team, which, again, have been struggling quite a bit before coming to town. Let's take a look at the line score and how this one played out. It was game number 31 for the Braves, game 1 of 2 against the Red Sox, who improved to 11-19 with their victory. 9 runs on 11 hits, 1 error, 9 men left on base for Boston. For the Braves, now 14-17, so their chance to get to 500 in this series, well, that'll have to wait until the weekend. 4 runs, 6 hits, no errors, 7 men left on base. Tyler Danish picked up the win in relief. He's 1-0 for Boston. Kyle Wright did take the loss, 3-2 for the Braves, and John Schreiber got to save his first of the season. Time of game, 3 hours, 47 minutes. Crowd of 38,378 were on hand to see it. We'll jump into a lot of the particulars of this one and break down what went wrong for Kyle Wright. Before we do, though, I want to let you know about Rock Auto, because with the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts that you need. Go to rockauto.com right now, see all the parts available for your car or truck, right locked on in there in the How Did You Hear About Us box, so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car or truck will ever need. You can find them at rockauto.com. For Kyle Wright on this night, Jake, I think you touched on something kind of important. The second inning was clearly the biggest struggles and the worst inning and the worst results that Kyle Wright has had all year long. I was happy to see him find a way to pitch into the 5th inning and help give the Braves at least a little bit of a bridge on a night where he could have been done in that second. He certainly could have been done in the third. He was able to work through some of that. It's a very small silver lining, but I do think it's worth noting.
Yeah, and I think it is important for him because this is a situation in the past, 2019 Kyle Wright, where Snitker would have given the hook and he would have taken him out there in that second inning and he wouldn't have gained anything from this start. So I think it was important for Snitker to leave him out there, to continue to let him work and, continue to try to find it in an outing where it wasn't your best. But yeah, not a great night from him. Obviously, the walks to Franchi Cordero and Jackie Bradley Jr. in the second inning, that just cannot happen. Red Sox offense was not great coming in, but those 3 guys in the middle, Devers, Bogarts, JD Martinez, they're still really great hitters. You can't be letting the bottom of their order get on base to set up the top of that lineup for those guys. And I don't know what to do about Rafael Devers. He is just a monster.
Yeah, he's a problem for a lot of teams, not just the Braves. And, he was just sitting there looking for something to drive on the first pitch, and Kyle Wright gave it to him. Sometimes you make a mistake. I'm sure as soon as that left Kyle's hand, well, certainly as soon as it left Rafael Devers' bat, that's a pitch he wanted to have back, but he had struggled to be in and around the strike zone and make some competitive pitches and put away the bottom of the lineup. I think that's a really good thing to point out because Franchi Cordero didn't just walk once in this game, he walked 3 times in this contest. And this is a Boston team that had a season high 7 walks in this game. 2 of those came with the bases loaded. One of those was the responsibility of Kyle Wright, which helped the Red Sox score the first of their couple of runs. That you don't want to be giving away free bases. You don't want to be giving away free runs on top of that. And then, as you mentioned, it compounded the problem by putting more runners on base, more traffic out there. And Rafael Devers is a legitimate hitter who has been having a good season, and it got a little bit better with 4 runs knocked in on one swing of the bat. All 6 of those runs against Wright came in that second inning. He went 4 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. The home run was the grand slam, and that knocked his ERA from 1.74 coming in to 3.03 by the time he was done pitching and left with 2 outs in the 5th inning. So for Kyle Wright, I still think that there's something to build on from this start in that he was able to kind of bounce back and give his club innings and not leave with the bad taste in his mouth of, hey, I just gave up a grand slam and there's the manager and I'm done and now I have nothing to do but think about this for the next week. I'm sure he's still going to dwell on this. I'm sure he's still going to think about the things that he can do to correct and perhaps avoid innings like this in the future, all the work that pitchers do between starts. But Jake, he does leave with a little bit of something rather than chased from the game in the second inning.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I think that's big for him. And you look at the exit velocity on his pitches tonight, and it really was just a fastball. He didn't have great command of it, and when he did, it got hit really hard. He was leaving it out over the middle of the plate. Average exit velocity on his fastball, 101.4 miles per
Yeah.
hour. Every other pitch that he threw had an average exit velocity against of 84 miles per hour or lower. So really just that fastball that at times even we've seen in other starts, he struggled with the command of it. And I don't know. I think when Kranitz went out there, I think that was kind of his talk with Travis d'Arnaud is,
Mhm.
hey, that he doesn't look like he's able to control that fastball. Let's focus more on that curveball because it still is a very effective pitch for him. But yeah, I mean, look, he's still learning right now, and growing as a pitcher. We've talked about it. And I didn't think he was going to have an ERA under 2 all year, but
Sure.
certainly, I'm not worried about Kyle Wright in the slightest going forward.
No, I don't think this was a return to his struggles prior, but look, there were going to be some bad starts. I mean, even every pitcher, no matter how good you are, you have those 3, 4, 5, maybe half a dozen starts that just aren't good. You just don't have your great stuff. You just get hit hard. Other hitters, hitters of the offense just happen to have your number on that particular night. Kyle Wright was going to have some of those throughout this year. It's just kind of a letdown that it does come against a club that had lost 5 games in a row coming in. And in the previous 4 contests, they had scored a total of 5 runs and they put 6 runs up on the board in that 6th inning. So a lot of frustration for the Braves, for Kyle Wright, certainly, and 3 runs tacked on in the 9th got the Red Sox up to tying their season high with 9 runs scored on the night. It was pretty much Boston's evening as they marched into Truist Park and took the opener of this series. A couple of highlights or a couple of things to maybe take something good out of this. Tyler Matzek with a scoreless inning. He did walk a batter, but picked up a strikeout. And Jake, we've talked about the struggles of Tyler over his last few outings and really not seeing him come into 2022 looking like the guy in October who kind of looked like a hero who may never have to pay for another drink in the city of Atlanta for the rest of his life. But this was a step, at least for him, hopefully in the right direction and a sign of things to come.
Yeah, I've been a little hard on Tyler Matzik, obviously this season because of the struggles that you see, but I was really encouraged by this outing. After the walk, for me, it was really that Devers at bat for me. Lefty on lefty, Devers, you can't get him out. The Braves just can't get him out. And he fell behind or no, he was attacking the zone there, throwing hard and got that strikeout of Devers. And then after that, I thought you started to see a little bit more confidence for Tyler Matzik. So I thought that was a big outing for him. And the bullpen in general, until Tyler Thornburg in the 9th, really kept the Braves in this game. And I think you have to commend them with the work that they did. Chavez, Minter, Matzik, coming in. So I thought the bullpen did a great job in relief of Kyle Wright, giving the offense a chance to get back in this game.
Yeah, 3 1/3 1-hit innings heading into that 9th inning. And Tyler Thornburg hasn't had a bad season for the Braves, but he's not very high on the depth chart. Coming off an off day, with the top of your order coming up with a game that was at least manageable at that point, I can understand wanting to go to somebody else, not necessarily Kenley Jansen, but perhaps a Will Smith in that kind of situation. But, Tyler Thornburg was the guy who his number was called, and the Red Sox simply They had his number on this night, some struggles with control. And then with the infield in, the 2-run single for Trevor Story really kind of put the game completely out of reach there. But another bases loaded walk, just the optics of everything. It was a frustrating night for the Braves, a frustrating night certainly for Braves fans as well. Something else worth noting in this one for the Braves on the good side of the ledger, more hot hitting from Travis d'Arnaud. A couple of more hits. His third home run helped get the Braves back in this game. Ronald Acuna Jr., meanwhile, another stolen base for him. He picked up another base hit. He has now hit safely in 9 of 10 games. He's got 5 steals in those 10 contests, and he's only 2 off the league lead in the National League in stolen bases. And again, he's only played 10 games. So Ronald seemed like he pretty much went to battle in this particular game, darting in and out of the way of a couple of pitches, making a nice over-the-shoulder catch in right field that kind of had shades of the play that he got hurt on in Miami last year. And I think that this is going to be one of those where the aches and pains that you have as a Major League Baseball player, even if you're thinking about, okay, well, clearly you want to protect his knee, he's going to get other bumps, bruises, nicks, and otherwise feel the rigors of playing a baseball game on a regular basis pretty much every day. So I think it's a good week for Ronald Acuna Jr. to have a couple of built-in off days, is it not?
Yeah, it is. And that was probably one of the bigger, more positive takeaways for me in this game is that catch you talked about, very similar to the one in Miami. And he made another running catch down in the corner. Made several
Yeah.
really good running catches in this
Some
game
good
that kind of
throws.
just show you that, yeah, and a good throw as well. So it's starting to show, Ronald's there and he's looking healthy, looking good. I think that's positive. Had the hardest hit ball in this game again on a single. I think that's 6 straight games now of hitting a ball 100 miles per hour or harder. So continuing to do good things there. The stolen bases, I didn't know, Grant, when he came back, if he
Mhm.
would still be running like he was before. And I feel like he's maybe even more aggressive on the base pass right now. So it's just great to see. I'm really excited about Ronald. Just wish they would start driving him in more. I feel like he
Mhm.
hasn't scored enough runs with all the time he's gotten on base so far for whatever reason. Talk about that first inning. They gift you a walk, he's still second. They gift you an error, set him up at third,
Mhm.
and you can't bring him in. And
Yeah.
again, kind of really set the tone for what would be a down night for the Braves.
Yeah, frustrating for the offense. Squandered rather a few opportunities out there on the base paths, especially early. And we've talked about this stat. I'll bring it up again. It's not a fun one, but the Braves now this year are 2-16 when the opponent scores first in the game. They're 12-1 when they score the first run of the game. Will that be the correlation that'll play out for the rest of the year? I don't know. But as of the second week of May, that's pretty much been the way it's gone. If the other team jumps out to the early advantage, this hasn't been the comeback Braves of the past few years, which is something that had kind of been their hallmark since Brian Snitker had taken over. I mean, there were stats in the game notes every single year about, the Braves, with these comebacks and leading the National League, leading Major League Baseball, being one of the best teams at being able to rally. But we haven't seen a lot of that here in 2022. And I think they're going to need some of it in order to not only climb back and above 500, but also to chase down a team like the Mets in a division in which New York is taking advantage of its other clubs in this particular NL East race not being able to climb to and above 500 and win some winnable games and winnable series against some opponents that, quite frankly, you should be taking advantage of. And the Red Sox, meanwhile, kind of spoiled that party and that note for the Braves on this night. We'll tell you about game 2 as Ian Anderson's going to be on the mound for the Braves. Before we do, though, I want to let you know about our partners at Bet Online as they continue to be the number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's NBA playoffs, your MLB scores, fights, and even next season's NFL futures. Bet Online is your source for all your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to betonline.net today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. As for where it's starting tomorrow night and who's starting tomorrow night, that'll be Ian Anderson in game 2 against Boston. He's 3-1 on the year, a 4.01 ERA, has been, I think, trending in the right direction over the past handful of starts. Nathan Eovaldi, one of the Red Sox other good starting pitchers, the Braves were able to keep Garrett Whitlock and kind of minimize his effect in this game and force the game into the Boston bullpen for the final 6 frames. Just weren't able to capitalize enough after that. Eovaldi, though, 1-1 on the year, a 2.94 ERA, and he has certainly had some highlights throughout his big league career. That'll be a tough draw for the Braves, but I think you've got somebody on the mound that can give you a chance to win. Hopefully, Ian's able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a winnable game for the Braves with Ian on the mound the way he's been pitching lately, but he's got to continue that. Throw strikes, do not walk batters. It's been the trend all year for this Braves team. There's been too many games where they're walking 5 or more batters. got to see Ian filling up the strike zone, can't give up free passes. And the Braves, work Nathan Eovaldi. I mean, the Red Sox had to use a lot of bullpen arms tonight,
Yep.
some of their better arms. Work Eovaldi, try to get him out of there after 5 innings and, with either a lead or the game tied, and try to get to that Red Sox bullpen, which has not been great for them, even though they were pretty solid tonight, other than that inning with Robles. So that's the strategy for the Braves. I don't like 2-game series or 4-game series, Grant, but you get a split of this, it's just fine, and you kind of move on.
Yeah, you do. And you're going to have a tough club waiting on the other side of that as the San Diego Padres are going to roll into town and the Braves continue their 8-game homestand, where you really want to make the most of having this long time at home with some off days built in and around this to get your club right before you head back out on the road again, because you're going to go right out and you're going to see the Milwaukee Brewers, who are a tough club. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. It is game 2 for the Braves and the Red Sox, as Atlanta will try to split this 2-game set behind Ian Anderson, who will be on the mound against Nathan Eovaldi. 7:20 Eastern time is the first pitch on Wednesday night at Truist Park. Again, it's Ian Anderson. It's Nathan Eovaldi. Game 2, Braves and the Red Sox. That'll wrap us up here on the Braves Postcast, part of the all-new Locked On Sports Atlanta. We appreciate you making us part of your evening. Not a great one for the Braves, who lose the opener of this series, but make sure you subscribe on YouTube and to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcasts, so you can keep up with everything we got for you all season long. He's Jake Mastroianni. I'm Grant McAuley. Once again, your final score on this night, it was the Braves losing to the Boston Red Sox by a 9-4 score. But join us tomorrow. We'll be back on the Braves Postcast. And until then, so long, everyone.